Good morning, this is Lindsay Wray here with Lois Wray. I'm a student at the Vanderbilt's Masters of Reading Education program, and I'm interviewing Lois Wray. She owns two businesses. One is the Pink House, a historic cheese and charcuterie shop in Genoa, Nevada, and a medical supply business called Valve Incorporated. And we're going to talk to her about the meaning of early literacy. Good morning, Mom. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Let me get to the quote I wanted to talk to you about. A second. Sorry. Guy says in his early literacy, he says, there is really no such general thing as literacy. Rather, people adopt different ways with printed words within sociocultural practices for different purposes and functions. In these practices, humans are always meaning producers, not just meaning consumers. Can you tell us what that means in a professional context?
I think when somebody is reading something, for example, a document or an email, the way that they process the words could be a little bit different, and the emphasis that they put on them can slightly change the meaning. But I think overall that there's kind of like a social norm that we accept where we can still interpret the basic part of the document to have it come out and be the same thing.
Thank you. I forgot to add, the reason that I thought my mom would be a good person to interview is because of the Common Core's focus on career and college readiness. She has a great perspective on both of those. And a lot of the people that she works with span socioeconomic statuses, so she can speak pretty accurately to literacy in a variety of contexts. I have two questions for you. Are you ready for them?
I am.
Okay. Your first question. Goodman, who's a reading theorist, he favors the whole language approach to reading. Goodman talks about the importance of making meaning out of reading and connecting back to an individual's experiences. Leland and Harste elaborate on multiple ways of knowing and making connections. As a professional, do you agree or disagree with these ideas?
I think I tend to agree. I think that the whole learning process is significant and carries a lot of weight, especially in the business world.
How do you see people making meaning?
I'm sorry?
How do you see people making meaning when they're reading?
Making meaning? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Well, you know what? I think people have, when they're reading, I think people have different ways, different learning styles. And for some people, they can follow words. For some people, they maybe need pictures, or they have to highlight as they are reading along. And I think as long as you keep it simple, depending on what the application is, I think people can have a general understanding of words, and that they can put them together and make sense out of it and have it be relevant.
Do you feel like people benefit more from what they're reading or looking at if they can make an immediate connection to their lives?
I think it depends on what their thought process. Probably for most people, I would say that that's true. I think that some people are able to read something that doesn't necessarily tie in to their own experiences, and they can still have it be relative.
Perfect. Okay, my second question. Let's see. My second question. Goodman, the same theorist, he also talks about a variety of cueing systems that readers use to read. This includes making meaning out of context, looking at the syntactical structure of where the word is in the sentence, and then looking at the actual word, of course. He talks about a variety of these systems that readers use to read. Guy brings in a sociocultural perspective that literacy is more than just reading from a book. How does this apply in professional settings?
Oh, that's a big question. Well, Lindsay, I don't want you to have to reread that. give me. Well, I think cues. I think going back to what I said earlier about. I think people have different learning styles and different ways of comprehending something. I know for me, if you give me a long, complicated document, I've got to print it out and highlight it so that I can tie into something and eliminate the extra words that seem to clutter what I'm trying to read and process. I think if you can read, I think people can adapt to different styles and still come out with making sense out of what they just read. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a follow-up question that's going to cover a little bit more too.
Okay.
So for this question, I'm thinking a little bit more at the Pink House, which is the restaurant, and specifically in the kitchen. So what are some types of literacy needed to perform job-related tasks? I guess this would also apply in the lab too. So I'm thinking like signs, graphs, information that would tell you something really quickly.
Like in the workforce, or for them to do their job, like to keep their environment safe, follow protocol, or do you mean like reading a recipe or following directions?
I was thinking specifically like non-text sources that are giving them information.
Okay.
But if you feel like there's something else that you want to add on it, go for it.
I think in that case, because it's usually in both environments, they're extremely safety conscious, and I think visual cues. I'm sure there's data on that says that visual cues, a picture of someone washing their hands, a picture of somebody wearing goggles. I think that's more effective because maybe for most people, your brain processes a picture quicker than it would words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right about that. First Five California did a research project. It was on little kids and recognizing titles of movies, and they could do that a long time before they saw letters or anything like that. How does that support? You work with some people that have a little bit lower literacy and lower education levels than other people.
True. How
does that support them in performing their job?
Well, for some reason, I just want to say most of them can't spell. I don't know that that's relevant to this. Well, when we write things out like procedures or our policies, you're right. They typically have less education. They're not somebody that necessarily reads extensively and increases their vocabulary. And I by no means mean to stereotype, because there's of course exceptions to that. But on average, I think that to get the message home and have them comprehend and retain it, it's mostly using words that emphasize, keep it short, and using words that emphasize that it's important. Mm-hmm. So, and keeping it short.
What about colors? Are there any colors that you use in your signs to emphasize that something's important?
Well, I think that's interesting. We actually do use colors, and we kind of like use the red light, green light thing, and then of course the yellow. Be careful, and that's pretty effective. If there's something, if in our procedures there's something that is in reading, then they know that that's something that they need to be paying special attention to. If it's in yellow, they know that they're being cautioned about something, and if it's green, that has more of a positive connotation to it. I would say that in most of our print, we just use standard it's black, but sometimes we'll bold the important part and maybe even use a light gray for the part where we want to elaborate on it. And so if they hit the high points in black and then they want to learn a little bit more, they'll read the lighter print.
Perfect.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we wrap it up?
I don't know if this is relevant, but sometimes to get your point across and keep it back to keeping it short and simple so that you hit the high points, bulleting or arrows are very effective also.
Oh. So you're talking about the ways the print is set up, not just...
Exactly.
interesting. Well, thank you for letting me interview you. I appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. I hope that I had some valid information.
You did. It was great. Thank you.
You're welcome.